takes some finesse.
Welcome back. If you haven't noticed, we're trying something a little bit different with this ride. We are, like I said in the intro, we are on the same ride as we were taking the ice bike up into the hills on a good hilly kind of ride. So we are currently on the Greenspeed Aero racing bike. And I kind of wanted to try something different, as in I kind of wanted to give my thoughts about the bike as we go along, because I noticed with our past rides, going over some obstacles like hills and different things, I had some thoughts in mind that I didn't get out on camera. I would forget those things I wanted to say, or I knew I had stuff on my mind, but at the time, didn't know what I obviously forgot. Either way, so at this point, we just went up and down a couple of hills. So we're at we're at the first stop, and my thought so far is the Greenspeed Aero isn't for your average rider or your neat truck rider. This kind of demands a lot more of you paying attention to it and what it does, and not only that, but you have to kind of pay attention to the other vehicles around you. At this point, at this level, you kind of have to take responsibility, not just yourself, the bike, but the other traffic around you. We are currently we did the first part of this ride on the highway. And yes, most of you wouldn't consider choose part of your ride on the highway, but I am, and it wouldn't be my first time, so I kind of know what to expect. So but you're gonna from this point on be on a more of a old, well, we call it the old highway. So which means we're taking the back road to a hillside community. It used to be the old highway, and it's more of a safer route to go for cyclists around the area. A lot of people use it, like me, and a lot of cyclists, tour bikes, whatever. It's pretty safe, and it gives you a lot of hills to climb, to go down, and it has chicanes and a lot of different things to go on. As you've seen in the last video. So far, going up the hills on our aero bike, I noticed that because of it being a hardtail, going over loose rocks, obviously I lose traction. The wheel spins all of a sudden because of the going over the rock, and compared to the ice bike that has suspension, the ice bike is more planned that way, because obviously the suspension helps the tire to stay, to have more traction over the loose rocks. And not only that, but I notice sometimes that the other tires will run over loose rocks and toss them into either the frame or in the traffic. So be aware if you're on a hardtail or on a bike like this, that because the bike has high PSI tires, it shoots them out into traffic, essentially can hit a car. A lot of them so far has hit the bike itself, and just be aware. So with a bike like this, you're gonna have to do when you're getting the bike ready each ride to ride, you might want to run your fingers over the frame to check for dents, especially aluminum. That if you find any dents in the frame, that is going to be a weak spot in the frame, so that can grow and essentially in time cause the bike to fail in that spot. So be aware of those possibilities. It's just more of a checklist that you have to kind of do each time you get the bike prepared for your next ride, and do consider. So far, I noticed with the stock tires they give you from the factory, these tires, the rubber compound is easy to puncture or to cut. I noticed I already had to change the back tire to a different brand that I know that could deal with more of rocks and sharp objects. But I still have the stock front tires, and even though that they're 100 psi and they're slicks, they're great tires for traction, and for that reason, so far the Achilles heel of the bike so far, in my perspective. Make sure you back it up with someone else's perspective of the same bike. This low on the bike, I'm finding that with high traffic areas, be aware of the traffic, but I'm also trying to be aware of debris in the bike lane, because there's a lot of debris from diesel tires that break off in pieces. Diesel tires usually are, they have the steel cords, and they're not good for the bike tires at all, obviously, for any tire, but especially for ours. So, like I said, this is the first stop of our ride, the first part of my thoughts. Let me go on with the rest of the ride, or a little bit the rest of the ride, and once I come up with more thoughts, we'll talk some more. We have just climbed and descended, at least we descended 2 hills, and we climbed a pretty good hill. I would say about maybe a half mile, maybe a little bit longer hill. A pretty gradual climb up, and we're at right now. We are at the top. Let me remind you that we are now on the old highway, like I was talking about before, and I noticed I was more comfortable to push the bike a lot more harder. So because of there's not much traffic on this road, and I noticed I was more focused on putting the power down and what I was doing compared to constantly looking in the mirror and for traffic around me. I'm still doing that, but not as frequent because, like I said, up here there's less traffic, really, and you know, it's just the noise of nature versus the noise of traffic. I am going a lot faster speed at this point, even going uphill by the busy highway. I was probably going about 2.5 miles an hour going uphill. Now I'm going about 4.5, 5 miles an hour, maybe 5.5 at points. But the point is, when you're on this bike and you're in a position where you don't have to worry about traffic as much, the ride gets a lot better. The bike gets a lot better. But when you're on the busy highway, you're slowing down a lot more. Obviously, be more cautious, and the noise of the traffic is getting to you a little bit. With that said, though, I'm not trying to discourage you from buying this bike. I'm just simply saying that this bike, in my opinion, isn't your entry-level bike. To get to this level, I would have to say that I would recommend that you buy a more entry-level trike. So you can work yourself up to this level. That's basically what I'm saying. That doesn't make this bike bad. It's just another level. It's something you can work up to, and like up until this point, you had a lot of track seat time, and obviously you get confident and good at it. But at this level of riding with this kind of bike, this opens up more of mental work. It's just another level of riding, I suppose. So for now, let's continue the ride. We got ourselves turned around. We're on the ride back, so this will be the second part of the ride, or second half. So my thoughts so far are, it does like to climb. With me, because I have limited strength, well, let's just say this. Because I have all my strength in one leg, how I apply my power down is going to be different from most of you, my viewers, right? If you have equal amount of muscle to access from your right leg to left, then it's going to be different. This bike will put down the power more, obviously, because you're providing more equally on both pedal strokes. So, with that said, my right leg is basically doing most of the work, which is probably about 95%. Okay, my left leg because of my disability is putting down 5%. And what my left leg is doing is just being a counterweight to try to keep the gear rotating until my right leg gets to the power stroke in my right leg. So unfortunately I don't have efficient muscle power to put down like most people can. But regardless, let me put it this way. I'm finding that when I'm on the way up here, I noticed even when I'm climbing the more steeper hills, I'm not having to downshift into my second gear on my crank. I have enough gear to shift into to keep my largest gear active, if that makes sense. So because on this bike, I think I addressed it before in past videos that this bike only has 2 gears in the front. The tallest is a 52 tooth sprocket, and the second biggest is a 42, I think. I'm gonna have to check that for you. But yeah, when I noticed when I got off the highway and I was more comfortable putting the power down, I was using the big gear in the front to climb and not allow me to keep my momentum up, going up the hill, even though I was going up about, with the steepest hill so far, I was going up about 5.5 to 4 miles an hour. With that said though, I mean, for me that's not a bad speed. That's not a bad rate of speed. For someone else, the bike obviously will go faster for. For example, when I was still on the busy highway, I had to climb the hill, and I did knock it down to the smaller gear in the front, and I put that off as because I was focused a lot on traffic and how close they were getting as they were going by, so I couldn't focus a lot on power, putting the power down. So caught that and got into the back road that isn't so busy. I was able to go a lot faster, more efficient. This bike, like I said, it seriously feels like that I'm not seeing even less. I'm seeing even less, so I had to apply more focus on the traffic in that moment. So I would definitely that just verifies what this bike was designed for, and that is racing and speed, and being. I would definitely say if you had the opportunity to have someone ride with you, do that, because I think even on the highway, you're gonna be more comfortable allowing someone else to be there with you to tell you, hey, watch out for this car, whatever. It might give you more comfortable, make you more comfortable to go faster and be more focused on the bike and what you're doing. So keep that in mind. But again, I'm not trying to discourage you from this bike. For sure, I would say if you can have someone to be with you, ride with you. That will kind of take away, I guess, perhaps possible anxiety to be next to traffic being so low. And I'm going to give you an idea of how low this thing is. And after that, we're going to continue on riding back down the hill towards town. Go from there. Okay, so at this point, we're done with the hard part of the ride. On the way back, I had some headwind, and the bike did fine. The bike is made and designed to deal with the headwind. Obviously, it had hubcaps or rim caps to make the bike more aerodynamic. Although I took I took one side off, but I will make a feature video on that soon. Besides the headwind, the bike did fine. Nothing out of the ordinary. I did have to focus a little bit more because besides downhill, yes, the headwind. Like throwing debris in my face sometimes, but that's kind of goes with the territory type of thing. As bumps and potholes as that goes, the bike actually does very well despite being a hardtail, because how the seat is made. The mesh, it holds you like a hammock, and that seems to suck up a lot of bumps and vibration before it gets to you. In turn, that helps when you are doing a longer ride with a bike. It doesn't mentally beat on you. Well, I suppose what I mean by that, and those of you that know what I'm talking about, know that sometimes with a hardtail bike or a bike that just vibrates a lot, and the vibration reaches you to the point where you're being shaken and getting punished, but with bumps, it kind of wears on your body and tires you out. So by the end of the ride, you become more lethargic, I guess, after the ride's over for a while. And obviously, you don't want that in your bike. And that's what this bike's not doing right now. I feel fine. I feel like I could do 20 more miles. So, and something else I wanted to mention, I'm trying a new computer on the bike, meaning that I got a bike computer secondhand that runs off of GPS, so I don't have to add sensors on the rims and anything like that. Unfortunately, the computer is not connecting to the app it has, and I will show you a picture of the computer, but the main reason I wanted the computer on the bike is to tell me how fast I'm going and basic things, because even though I do use an app on my phone that keeps track of my miles and gives me speed information, the same information that this computer is doing, but the difference is to look at the speed on my phone, I had to wake it up or look at it or have it mounted somewhere in my line of sight, and I would have to touch it to wake it up. And yes, I have a Apple Watch that's connected to my phone, and I can use that as well, but sometimes it doesn't wake up, and since it is a smaller screen, sometimes it's harder to look at it. So there's that. Um, and if you want to know the app I'm using, it's Strava. I think I'm saying it right. Strava. It, it does keep. If you want to know more about that, I'll make a video about that as well. How it works basically. But for now, we're almost back home, and I hope you like the style of recording or me doing. If you want me to do more of the style of video, please comment down below. And lastly, until next time, don't forget your helmet, your water bottles, and ride safe out there. And bye for now.